Hey everybody, welcome back to I'm sorry. Okay, let me try that again. All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Gas. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, wait, I'm going to do that pose later. With me as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, the man who may cry devil, and the Division's last hope, Steven. Say hey,
Gosh,
Steven.
it feels like that sometimes. Hey, Steven.
I'm pointing the wrong way, but I hope that you can all just appreciate the effort that I tried to point to Steven with my character. Because of course, this is another What Are We Playing episode. Oh, wait, hang on. Steven. Say hey.
I did.
Okay.
Hey.
I heard you. I know. Now I'm pointing at you. I figured it out. So anyway, this is another What We're Playing episode. We're, of course, recording our gameplays as we play. Because normally when we do the podcast, Steven is normally playing a game anyway. I'm usually very attentive and focused on what we're talking about. But Steven,
wow,
I'm
also very attentive.
Actually,
but
you are, and it's scary because I don't know how you can focus so well.
Welcome to my hell, because I have to be doing multiple things all the time because that's what it's like to have ADD. You have to you can't just do one thing at once, and it's awful, and I hate it. Well, so welcome to Steven's ADD, the podcast.
The podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, Chortlecast, the official podcast of Chortle Games. We talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We got a great show for you this week. Yes, like I said, you're not seeing our cameras today. You're not seeing our faces. We're not doing an Animal Crossing bit this time. Steven and I are playing some games while we do the podcast. So you're going to be seeing our gameplay if you're a visual listener. If you're an audio listener, there probably won't be really much difference from a normal podcast, except maybe at certain points we might sound a little distracted or we might reference what we're doing in the game. But I'm of course playing Breath of the Wild. If you're watching me, I'm doing a self-portrait with Link right now and making him emote a little bit. I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed with how the fact that they allowed you to do emotes, but then you have 4 options for emotes. It's like, okay, come on, you could have done a little more here. But anyway, Steven, what are you playing?
Well, with the clip that happened while you were saying that, it probably looked out like I was playing some gritty reboot of Farmville or something where you fight off mutant carrots, because I was fighting a bunch of mutant carrots. I'm playing Ziggurat 2, which is basically a first-person roguelite, but you play as a wizard. So I'm going through this tower with my magic wand and my other weapons. I've got a magic staff as well, and going through the dungeon trying to fight the boss. Very nice. That's the gist.
I'm playing Breath of the Wild, of course, and I'm just kind of exploring a little bit. I'm kind of backtracking. I'm doing Master Mode, which was like the hard mode or whatever, the New Game Plus mode, if you will. So I'm expecting to die a lot, but I'm hopefully gonna find some cool things along the way. So anyway, yeah. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We got a great show. We're going to talk about the crazy, weird stuff that Xbox is doing, and with their Xbox Live, we're going to be talking about all the new Resident Evil news, and then we're going to have a little topic of the show. We're going to talk about when is a game dead, or when should you consider a game dead, which was kind of a topic that Steven came up with and has been thinking about a lot lately.
It's been heavy on my mind, heavy on my heart this weekend.
Heavy on.
And to clarify about the Resident Evil stuff, before someone watches the beginning of this podcast and is wearing their Resident Evil t-shirt, has their Resident Evil pop figures on their wall, and they're like, yes, finally someone who gets Resident Evil.
Someone who gets me.
No, we've never played Resident Evil.
We don't get you. That's not entirely true, Steven. I have done back when we did Let's Plays, I did do a Let's Play where I played through the kitchen demo. And of course that was effing terrifying, but
the kitchen demo?
I am
Are you thinking PT?
No. I am 95% sure there was, I believe it was called the kitchen demo, which was like Resident Evil 7. The most recent like modern.
The one with the hillbilly cannibals?
Yes,
or
the
whatever.
hillbilly cannibals. Yes, there was a demo that they released, and you walk through the house and lots of creepy things happen, and there's like a phone call, and there's of course a code, like some sort of there's something else going on where like if you figure out the code, you get like an extra special scene or something. I don't know. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that's happening there.
Laugh so hard if you were talking PT, because it was like, it would have been like, wow, way to prove our point of how little we actually know about Resident Evil. Not to say that we don't like Resident Evil, because I've always appreciated it as a franchise, but I've never played it.
Right.
But a lot of news happened with Resident Evil, so we're just gonna talk about that.
Exactly. But we're just
don't expect us to know like what everything means. Give us some grace in that realm. We're rookies. We might try the demo, which is part of that.
I would like to try the demo, but it's one of those things that and I always say this about horror games. I wish horror games would really plan their schedule around Halloween, just to suit my content schedule better, because I want to do all the spooky things around Halloween. But I can't do that if you release all your spooky games in January. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? So if the demo is still around, I definitely think that would be a fun activity for a live stream in October. But we may be busy with some other things in October, so we'll have to see what all happens there. But anyway, enough of that. Enough rigmarole. Let's jump into it. So I'm also going to preface this with. We as a group, Steven and I, and even Brody, who's kind of the guy we started the channel with, but he's kind of in and out of content right now. We all lean, I would say, fairly heavy towards Nintendo and Sony. I've owned an Xbox before. In fact, I think we all have owned an Xbox and have been. Xbox
was all about the Xbox 360 generation. Mm-hmm. I fell out of it and into PlayStation for the PS4. Mm-hmm. But I've been a PC gamer most of my life. Mm-hmm. I had an Xbox 360 and loved it. There are some Microsoft properties that I love, so I'm not anti Microsoft or anti Xbox by any means. But my console of choice is a PlayStation or a Nintendo console.
Right. So yeah, that's a great way to say it. We are not against Xbox at all. In fact, we're rooting. We always talk about how the Games Pass is like one of the best deals in gaming. So we are not.
And I'm a proud subscriber to Games Pass. So when Microsoft succeeds, I win.
That's right. We are in support of Xbox, but that's not our like primary source of gaming and console. But all of that to say, I have never done Xbox Live or I've done Games Pass for a time. I've never really needed to look into all of that to like have a better, more full understanding of how all that works. So all of that to say, there's going to be some confusion here as I go through what has happened. But basically, Microsoft announced this past Friday. They announced Friday that they were, and I'm reading from an article from The Verge written by Sam Byford. So go give him a click if you'd like. But Xbox announced.
Way to cite the source there. I like that.
There you go. I need to do that, be better about that, and I'm going to give it a shot. So Xbox announced a price hike on Friday that would have doubled the cost of the yearly subscription to its service, Xbox Live, which is required to play games online on Xbox consoles. Basically, the new price, as I understand it, to $120 for many users. Now, though, Microsoft says the price will stay the same. Let me skip a bit here. So, gosh, I just hate this because it's all so confusing. So they came out. They made this statement Friday that basically was going to make to have a year's worth of Game Pass, or I'm sorry, to have a year's worth of Xbox Live, it was going to be $120. I do not know what it was before that, and that's what I quickly skimmed through this, and I do not see Here
the
we
price
go.
point before they were going to increase it.
So here it is. The price before it was going to increase it is what it is for Sony right now, which is $60.
Yeah, so they were literally going to double it.
They were literally going to double it. So it is now $9.99 per month for 1 month, $24.99 for 3 months, $39.99 for 6 months, and $59.99 for 12 months. They were switching it to where in fact, I think they got rid of 12 months and it was just going to be 60 for 6 months. So that's where the 12 months would be 120 came out of. But anyway, Xbox has reversed that and said, we messed up today. And you were right to let us know. Connecting and playing with friends is a vital part of gaming, and we failed to meet the expectation of players who count on it every day. As a result, we've decided not to change Xbox Live Gold pricing.
That was a good way to word it on their part as well.
Right.
Because I personally am in the thinking of we're past the point where paying a premium to play online is a thing. Like we should not have to pay for online capability. Like I just personally, because the industry's gotten big enough to where like it's not so niche to where you need to pay to have those services work.
Right.
I think that just needs to be included.
Isn't it crazy to think that, Xbox, or not even Xbox, but just like PlayStation, it used to be free on the PS3 to play multiplayer games online. Like that was not a big deal or not an issue. It was a non-issue there. But anyway, to continue reading, we're turning I did want to reference this before I do continue reading. Listening to podcasts and reading some other people talk about this who are a little bit more in the Xbox ecosystem. A lot of them were saying, we don't like this decision, but really what it seems like they're trying to do at the heart of this is push people to the Game Pass Ultimate.
Yep.
And basically it sounded like they were trying, really what they wanted to do, and the reason I'm bringing this up is what they're about to say here. It seemed like really they just wanted people to move past live. We don't want you to worry about live anymore. So anyway, with that in mind, going forward in this reading, we're turning this moment into an opportunity to bring Xbox Live more in line with how we see the player at the center of their experience. For free-to-play games, you will no longer need Xbox Live Gold membership to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months. If you are an Xbox Live Gold member already, you stay at the current price for renewal. New and existing members can continue to enjoy Xbox Live Gold for the same prices they pay today. I mentioned those earlier, basically $60 for 12 months. So now I am just now this is all kind of clicking with me now. Beyond that, Microsoft has decided that Xbox Live, in line with Sony and Nintendo's online service, by dropping the subscription requirement to play free-to-play games. Popular free-to-play game titles like Fortnite are playable on PlayStation consoles and the Nintendo Switch without an online subscription. Really?
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
That's why you see the whole PS Plus bundles for free-to-play games, because the incentive is for like bundles and stuff rather than being able to play the game, period.
I honestly did not know that. I've always kind of thought that was funny. Fortnite's a great example. And this is part of this is just a privilege thing of just, I've always had the online service, I just kind of, that's just kind of a pill you have to swallow almost with gaming. It's just like, this is just part of it. This is how it is. So I never really have thought about how does that work if I don't have a subscription? Can I still play these free games? But that's really cool. That's really cool.
It's a good change.
So it's funny because we had talked about this whole news story. Brody had actually kind of brought it to mine and Steven's attention of just like, can y'all believe this is $120 a month? Like that's crazy. Like this is insane. And of course I kind of was like, yeah, it is insane, but like I don't have an Xbox, so I'm not worried about it. But obviously we were all just, I don't know if concerned was the right. Well, concerned is the right word. We were all just kind of like
concerned about a precedent.
Yeah, we were really concerned that this is setting a precedent that is going to come back and bite us all in the butt somehow, some way.
yeah, if Xbox can pull this off, then why can't Sony?
Right. Exactly. But Steven, you also brought up a really interesting point. And again, you're the PC guy in our group. PC gaming online is free. Like you don't have to have an online
there's no service that
subscription.
you have to you don't pay for Steam or for any of those clients. They are free. The only thing you have to purchase is the games that you want, just like with console games, but there is no premium for online play except for like MMOs that have a $15 like Final Fantasy 14. Games like that have a premium, but like to play Call of Duty online, you just have to own Call of Duty and have an internet connection.
So why is that? What's the deal with that?
Because at some point, I mean, the best answer I can probably get for you is that back when online gaming was becoming a thing with like the original Xbox and all that kind of stuff, it was fairly niche. So they charged a premium to, cover costs of providing a quality online experience and whatever. I don't know. And it just never changed. Like we just allowed that to keep happening, even though console gaming is making bank right now. And
off that,
honestly, they don't need our subscription to their services, but it was something that just never really, as far as I know, never went contested. People just accepted it.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly have in a lot of ways just accepted that that's just part of it. That's how that goes. But so to kind of to get back to what I was driving at, when we first heard about this, we were just like, oh my God, like what if Sony does this? What if, God bless them. What if Nintendo, it's like we can actually, what if we fixed up our online service? We were all freaking out about this, but now that they've reversed it, and beyond that, they've joined Sony and Nintendo in letting people play free to play games without that service. Where do you stand, Steven? Like, do you think now we're moving the opposite direction of where we thought? Like, is that the backlash that's maybe going to tip the scales back towards not having an online subscription thing?
You could always make the argument that Xbox, maybe they were getting flack for Xbox Live and people were saying that it wasn't worth it or whatever else, or that, and you could argue that they knew this would happen. That they said, well, people don't want to pay for Xbox Live. Mm-hmm. So what if we scared the crap out of them and made them think that this was about to be a lot more expensive and then made them realize they could have it a lot worse? Mm. That could have been the case. Mm-hmm. But like, do I think, I'm sorry if you hear my dogs, they're in the room with me because I don't trust them to be anywhere else when Anna's gone. But
yeah, didn't they chew through a stair or something recently?
Yeah, they did.
Last time they were left alone.
Flynn knocked over a Tupperware bowl of fried rice, and
that's right.
It was licked so clean that I thought it was ice when I walked in the room.
Oh my goodness. Poor Pepper.
Yeah. Crazy boy. But do I think that this is going to push us towards no premium? I don't know. Maybe it'll start the conversation from the consumer's end, but I think that if you look at it from the angle of where Microsoft stands, this ultimately looked good for them.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, that's definitely a very cynical way to look at it, but I don't think you're entirely wrong that they could have.
I'm not saying that I think that they did, but it's totally possible that they did. I would not be surprised. Right. Because I just don't see anything. I don't see the premium going away just because there hasn't been much of a controversy or push towards just removing the premium. People have been pretty complacent, I feel like. Yeah.
And that's a good point. It has just been kind of, you become accustomed to it in a way that just, I've got to have this service. to make any of this run. So yeah, I don't know what I would do if like, say for instance, Sony came out and was just like, hey, you know what, PS Plus service is annoying. No one likes it. Whatever. We're gonna continue to give you free game, or not free games, but like if you want to continue paying for the service, you'll get games. In fact, we're gonna add an extra one or something crazy like that. But you no longer need this subscription to play games online. Like, I don't know that I would cancel my subscription outright. I guess it really would depend on like, what did they do? Did they keep any incentives to make you want to keep that? But I don't know. I guess I would. I don't know. I would probably drop it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what kind of makes me think that we're not moving towards no premium yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we were moving towards no premium, they would have pulled out the stops with other incentives with that premium,
right?
Before they were just like, hey, this isn't right, so no more premium,
right?
Because they want to make sure that they can offer as much of a carrot to the consumer as they can,
right?
Before they remove that entirely, just to see if they can motivate them to move,
Right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So anyway, well, if you're an Xbox person and have been worried about that, I guess you don't have to be as worried now, knowing that they're not going to just take
this
it all
popped
out.
in my mind while we started talking about it. Just when you mentioned that Microsoft tried to hike the price, there's this scene in Arrested Development, which is just a hilarious show if you haven't watched it, where the two funniest characters are trying to pitch a business idea, like a fake business idea, to the main character so that they can basically get some of the family money from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes them an offer, and the funniest character, the stupidest one, just outright says, like, you make a decision now or we walk. Just makes like a really bold statement. And then Michael, the main character, just looks at him and goes, that may have been the worst bluff I've ever seen.
Why?
That's just like the impression that I got from Microsoft, where they were just like, you pay us double. And then the consumer was just like, that was the worst bluff you could have made, Microsoft.
Why did you tell them that? They totally don't have to pay that much. Well, I'm glad they overturned that. I hope that does in some way set a precedent of like, hey, this stuff's, it's already crazy enough that we're asking you to pay for this. So, we're not gonna raise that price again without at least some benefits. I know when Sony raised their prices not too long ago, I was like, as long as it's still good and like as long as the service still runs well,
yeah,
I'm not going to complain.
It's hard to feel the hurt of price increases like that, because you and I are adults. We have expendable income, and like, if this had happened when I was a teenager, like in high school or whatever, when I didn't have much money to speak of, that would be different. But like, it is hard to put yourself in that shoe again, to when you see like, oh, this is increasing by $2. No big deal. I have a job, but you often forget. Oh yeah, there are a lot that don't. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a very large part of gaming right now.
Yeah, and especially the online. And I know that was something that was circulating in the discussion. Is just like, man, what a sucky move in a pandemic, right? Where a lot of people, their only way to connect with folks right now is through these services. Not to mention, people are already, in a lot of ways struggling to meet financial goals and all that sort of stuff. Because, anyway. Yeah. Okay. I think we're good there. If you're an Xbox person, hope you enjoyed that. And in the meantime, we'll hope that Sony.
If you're an Xbox person, please don't troll us in the comments.
Yeah, don't troll us. Look, we have no problems with Xbox. It is just not our forte, if you will. So, gosh dang it. Steven, I'm over here in Breath of the Wild, right? And I'm in a shrine. And I kind of they gave me at the very beginning, they gave me a metal cube, right? And I'm solving this puzzle. And let me tell you, I'm just glad I brought the cube with me, because I just kind of was like, haha, I'm going to break the system by bringing this cube along instead of leaving it where they probably wanted me to leave it. But I don't know how I could have done that, what I just did, without bringing that cube. So I guess I'm happy that
happened a lot in Immortals Phoenix Rising, where I thought I was outsmarting the game so much, and sometimes I was just literally just breaking the rules. But more often than not, it was just like I thought I was being super clever. Yeah, but I was doing exactly what they wanted me to do. That game's got some good puzzles.
I'm glad to hear it. That's what I often heard, that was the best part of it, was that they
if you ever see it on sale and you are done with Breath of the Wild, but you still want to kind of scratch a similar itch, I would suggest looking into Phoenix Rising, because it was in my top 5 last year, and I think it earned that just by not sucking.
I believe
as bad as we thought it was going to.
What a year 2020 was, where your only real criteria is just as long as it didn't suck.
You can get in the top 5 just by not sucking.
Wow, what a year. So anyway, let's continue on. Let's talk about Resident Evil Village. There was a showcase this week that showcased a lot of different stuff that's happening with them, and it's going to segue us into our topic of the show here in a second. But I'm reading from IGN. This is Jonathan Dornbush, did a nice little write-up of all the stuff that they had happen here. So yeah, they had their showcase. I'm gonna go down what all they did. So they announced the release date and a demo. Capcom confirmed that Resident Evil Village will be coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, PC, PS4, Xbox One on May 7th, 2021. Additionally, there will be a demo later this spring for all platforms, but PS5 owners can get exclusive access to the new, quote, maiden demo today. So if you're, of course, that was the 21st. So I think that was Thursday. So if you're a PS5 owner, you can play that right freaking now if you want. And hopefully, if it's still around, I will do that at some point. One of the biggest announcements, though. That was the date. So that's exciting. They showed Village gameplay. Now I don't know. I don't know if all of these games are connected in any way, shape, or form. But
they are.
Okay. Let me back that up.
It's not a Final Fantasy situation.
Let me back that up. I don't understand how all of these things are connected.
Yeah, I don't either. I got nothing for you there.
They showed the new look at the gameplay. It's of course first person combat returns as you once again take on the role of Ethan Winters. But there are some new melee elements like blocking and counters, so that's exciting. I don't know who Ethan Winters is.
He was the one in 7, I believe.
That's my understanding. Okay, great. So you're playing as that guy again. I've heard a lot of people didn't like him, that he was just kind of boring. So,
well, I mean, in a game like Resident Evil, where you've got well-known characters like Chris Redfield, Leon Kennedy, it's hard for a new character to enter the ring, I feel like.
Right.
And honestly, again, those characters were probably so well known because of Resident Evil in the past being third person or top down. And so like you connected to the character more because they did have a definitive like design and everything. When you're in first person, it's hard to connect with a character because you're connecting through their eyes. Right, exactly. So that's probably the issue there.
Probably.
I don't know. Never played it.
Well, so the things that have jumped out at me about this whole thing. So it seems like the main, you joked earlier that Resident Evil 7, right? There were what did you call them? The crazy hillbillies?
Cannibal hillbillies or something?
Cannibal hillbillies. That's what you said. Yeah.
Podunk cannibals? I don't
know. This time around, it is a family of large women vampires. And as I understand it, there's this lady, I want to say her name is the Duchess or something like that. I know that's not right, so everyone just forgive me. But I've seen nothing but her on Twitter circulating.
Yeah, I keep seeing her picture, and people are like, how tall is she?
She's a really tall, gray-skinned, apparently vampire lady who is kind of, they kept saying... So here again, I have a lot of holes in my RE knowledge, but what I do know is Mr. X, right?
Yeah.
In Resident Evil 2, is that right? The remake.
The remake, yeah.
Lots of people, lots of funny memes of Mr. X to the tune of X gonna give it to you, you know, busting through walls, people freaking out, right? And again, holes in my knowledge, but as I understand it, that character is constantly pursuing you in the game.
Yeah.
And again, as I understand it, is not defeatable. Like, you just can't stop them.
I believe that's correct.
Or at least it's very difficult.
Yeah.
The Lady Tremaine, or whatever the heck her name is, she is the Mr. X of this game, kind of the pursuer who's always pursuing.
Can we call her Madam Suck?
Because she's a vampire?
Yes, sure.
Steven, I'm disappointed. I feel like you could have come up with something better. I'll give you one more chance. You mull on it a little bit, and I'll finish up. But anyway.
Mistress Suck.
I'm not giving you any more chances. You've lost privileges. I think it's really cool, though, that, like, so she's not an unattractive character. Like, she's just a tall, aside from being, I guess, freakishly like tall, she's not, and gray skinned. She's not like abnormal looking. She's not grotesque, in like the way that like a witch would normally be portrayed or something like that. So I just kind of think it's cool that, like, it's a main, like the main monster, if you will, is a woman character. Like, I don't think that happens very often. So, that's kind of cool. And then the other, I think her daughters are also vampires that are pursuing you. And I guess I think she wants you to marry one of her daughters. They look grotesque. I don't know what's up with them. They got some issues happening.
Okay, I got her name. Monster-in-Law. Like the Jane Fonda movie.
Jesus. What sucks about that so much is that it works, because she wants to be your monster-in-law.
Exactly.
And so I really hate how much that works. So I'm just,
look, it's either monster-in-law or Mistress/Madam Suck.
Oh my God, Lady Tremaine is what I'm just gonna call her. So moving on, Resident Evil Reversed, which is a new multiplayer game, is coming with this. I want to say, do you remember the other? They recently did a multiplayer thing with Resident Evil.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called.
I don't remember what it's called, but as I understand it, it was something that it was a separate game, and you had to pay for it. This one comes free with anyone who gets Village. So it's a I don't know if built-in is the right word, but you know, it's a product that's gonna come with this in a way. And then last but not least, to take us out of Resident Evil, they announced that Ubisoft is making a surprise cameo on the Resident Evil stream. They announced that Division 2 will be getting some RE-themed earnable items to Division.
And a lot of people saw that and were like, oh, that's cool. I saw that and my heart sank.
Right.
And I'm about to provide context as to why.
Right. So before we just completely move on, any closing thoughts, Steven, on RE?
I really just need to try Resident Evil, because it's got pretty much everything I would like in a game, I think, but I just don't play horror games.
Right. I am all in, like, for like a Halloween type thing. If we want to get this and stream it somehow, I'm in. Even if it's not a full playthrough or something, but we just do give it a little shot. I think that would be really cool. So, all right. So this kind of brings us to our topic of the show. Steven, of course, saw that Division, and what went through your head, that Division cameo? What went through your head,
ever
Steven?
since September, you may remember from Ubisoft Forward in September, Division 2 had a moment, because Summit had its launch trailer from title update 11, I want to say, and Summit was a great update. But then they ended it with this big, like, college looking, well, it is a college, it's called Kenley College, it's a place that exists in the game, but it was Kenley College, but it looked like a horror scene, basically. Like it was during a storm and all this stuff. And then Yannick, the guy who's in charge of Division 2, came on screen and was like, we're doing this thing called Codename Nightmare. It comes out in December. It's going to be a gameplay event that takes place in Kinley College. And we were like, cool, a new game mode. That's awesome. That's what Division needs. Like, we just got Summit, so they were doing another game mode that was really encouraging. Well, come December, they're just like, yeah, we're not doing that. It's just going to be an apparel event. Like they literally were like, yeah, the gameplay thing's not going to happen, but it's going to be apparel. So that's cool.
Woo,
and we're all
clothes.
just like, yay, costumes. And then we literally hadn't heard anything about Codename Nightmare. It's still on the season track. It was supposed to start Tuesday, like tomorrow. Then this Resident Evil stream happens. We haven't heard anything from the dev team of Division in like over a month. We didn't know Codename Nightmare was like, we didn't know what it was. And then they're just like, it's Resident Evil costumes. And my heart sank because it was like, okay, so maybe they had original plans to do a Resident Evil like gameplay mode, which what I'm thinking may have been the story is they would turn Kenley College into basically the Resident Evil game where it takes place in the mansion, you know? They're like, I was thinking maybe they're doing that. But with Kenley College. And I was like, okay, that would have been cool. But now it's just them doing skins. And it very much felt like it was thrown in last minute. Especially when they said it was going to come out in December initially. So it really does feel like they were like, well, we can't do this. We don't want to put the resources towards it. So what's something we can do to just kind of fulfill our promise?
Right.
And so I heard that news and I was just like, man, that sucks. They didn't do a state of the game stream.
Right.
And year 2, which is the 4 seasons from Warlords of New York, the expansion that came out a year ago, the final season's happening and we don't know what's coming after that. So we don't even know if there is a year 3. They haven't said anything about that. We don't know if it's going to be another expansion, another season or whatever.
Right.
So combine that with what's going on with Avengers right now. Avengers just got Kate Bishop in December. She is great. She's my new favorite character. The story was actually really good. I liked the missions. I liked the story they were doing.
It was a little short, but you know,
it was a little short, but it was all quality.
Right.
And when you consider the fact that the original plan was that Kate Bishop would come out and then Hawkeye would come out weeks later, that was their original plan. So the length made more sense. But then you consider, well, Crystal Dynamics has been delayed because not only COVID, but I'm pretty sure they're based in California and they've had to deal with wildfires.
Yeah.
So this was literally the worst year for Crystal Dynamics to release an Avengers game because not only are those two things happening, but also it's the first year in like how many years that we haven't had a Marvel property release. So it's the only year that we've had in like a decade where Marvel and the Avengers have basically been removed from the zeitgeist.
Right.
So no one's really talking about them.
Right. Not at all, because it's all just, I mean,
Yeah,
WandaVision has been such a breath of fresh air because it's like, wow, finally something.
Right. And so it was just such bad timing for them to where people are like, where's the content? Where's the content? Because we got Kate Bishop. Now where's Clint? And they've made the mistake of going radio silent. I'm shocked that we haven't gotten a war table by now. To say, here's when you can expect Hawkeye. Or anything like that, because we really should have gotten that by now. So of course I made the mistake of reading comments. And people are of course like, dead game, it's a dead game.
Right.
They've just put it in maintenance mode, it lost money, all that kind of stuff. And so everyone's saying that even though the story for Kate Bishop ended in a really good, intriguing place, that they are basically going to put the game in maintenance mode, and we'll get Clint Martin, but then updates will end pretty much. And so all of this being said, basically the reason I've been like feeling this sense of dread with these games is because 2 games that I love very much, it seems like the very same day it kind of dawned on me that signs are pointing towards both of them being dead. And so I wanted to pose the conversation of like, when is a game to you, to anyone watching, when do you consider a game quote unquote dead? What could a game do? And specifically for this case, I would say, what could Avengers do to come back from the dead if it's considered dead? And what could Avengers have done differently to not find themselves in this trap? That's a lot of questions.
There were a lot of questions.
I just wanted to kind of have the conversation.
So I love this conversation. I think this is a great topic to discuss. So working backwards here, the question you ended on there was, what could Avengers have done? Well, let me back up. Let me just, screw that. I'm not going to go in reverse order here. I've changed my mind.
Is Avengers dead?
So I don't think Avengers is dead. So let me preface first with the question of the topic, right? Is when is a game dead? I think a game is dead. So I would say a game is dead when they shut it down, like when the servers no longer run.
So you think when literally like it's been pronounced time of death is when the servers are shut down.
When the doctor comes in, yes. So
yeah.
And an example that immediately comes to mind for me is Disney Infinity. I was a huge fan of Disney Infinity. Thought that was a great concept, great idea, and it flared up and burnt out and was gone. Before you knew it. Like it was such a big deal when they did 1. Then they did 2 with the Marvel characters, which was exciting. And then they did 3 with the Star Wars characters, which was equally exciting. But it was like, okay, where are you going next? Because like those are kind of the 3 pillars of Disney, in a way. And so then it was just like, yeah, this isn't working out. And so it was just done. But what really solidified it for me, part of the gameplay was, you could create these little playroom, I think is what they called them. And you could save a map and share it online. And people were really creative. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff with that. But it hit a point after 3 where they just were like, hey, we're shutting down this server. So like, if you have a map up here that you don't have saved to your system, that you either want saved or you want, if you maybe know of friends that you want to make sure you always have access to, like you need to download it before X day. And I think they even ended up extending that. But eventually, all of this to say, they eventually shut it down. And that was that was the end of it. So to me, that's when a game is well and truly dead. But I think the real question is like, I almost wonder if the better question would be, when is a game, like when should you stop expecting a game to do more, I guess, or something like that?
When should you expect a game to kind of just go into maintenance mode? Like Division 1, for example. No one's expecting updates from Division 1, but that's because it's a sequel, or there's a sequel out. But people still play Division 1 because they enjoy its content and the servers are still up. Right. So it's not a dead game. The community's still there, but that game will not change.
Right. You're never going to see that game get better or get improved.
Right.
Yeah. I think in that regard. I think when they don't talk about any further changes or plans, that's when it really becomes, again, not is this game dead, but like that's when you as a player have to say, okay, is what's left here enough for me, or
is this it,
or am I done? Because now the content I cared about, I was sticking around to see what's next. If this is it and I've done everything I want to do in the game, then a great example here. I don't think it's dead, but I think it's at the point where if you don't enjoy what's there, then it's just done. Ghost of Tsushima Legends.
Yeah.
A great game. They did. I thought they did an excellent job with what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially in the context of what we're talking about, it's a dead game. They're not going to do any more updates to that. They're not going to add another
They have
level.
surprised us before with costumes.
The surprises, yeah. I mean, that's true. There, I guess there is potential for that sort of stuff, but
as far as we know, we as a community should not expect more.
Exactly. There is no expectation of anything else coming. So I don't know. That's where it sits to me. Now, your other question of, well, I don't know. What do you think it is, Stephen? Or do you just kind of agree with that?
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on because like with Ghost of Tsushima, that's kind of a different story because the game itself is still getting playtime because it is a single player game first. But I think the question is posed for the sake of service titles. Those games that part of how they play, why they exist, is that promise of more.
Right.
And so I think that you pronounce a game like that a lot sooner than you do something else because, and I'm going to bring up Destiny later in this conversation, but Destiny is a great example. Destiny has never been perceived as dead, or there will be no more from Destiny because they've done a good job of telling you here's what's coming or building that expectation in the user base to know to expect something.
Right.
But when you build that kind of, when you do that model of here's war tables to show what's coming, or here's like when you build that expectation of constant communication and then you break that expectation, at that point, is it wrong to call time of death? Or do you assume maybe their heads are low and they're getting to work to surprise us later, or what? And of course, it's a case by case kind of thing,
right?
Like with Division, I think it's that their heads are low and that they're gonna announce what's coming. But I think that announcement is depending on what that announcement is, that is going to be like, well, this game's dead, or okay, this game's got a little bit more kick in it.
Right. They're on their last leg of if this announcement's not good, then
if the announcement is anything less than another paid expansion or a third game,
right,
then the game is on its last leg and it's not going to come back.
Right.
And so I guess moving on to the concept of what can Avengers do to come back from this, right before we ask that question, what do you think personally? Is Avengers going to deliver the last few things that they've promised and then move on? Or do you think they're going to buckle down and make it work?
Personally, I think they're going to buckle down and make it work. I feel like they've got a good thing going, and like we know from what we know from leaks and just discussions, right? At some point there was talk or plans for a Black Panther content.
Black Panther's basically been promised.
Right. All but confirmed they have plans to do something with Black Panther. I think, like you said, this was a weird year for for Marvel in general, because, what do you do in a pandemic year when, all your normal plans aren't going to work out. Because you can't show a film or start a TV season because of COVID. I think they will recover from COVID this year with Marvel in particular, you know, a lot of these movies are finally going to start coming out, whether that's coming out to Disney Plus or, you know, finally making it out into theaters. And I think Avengers has the potential, at least, to have a similar comeback. And I almost wonder if, you know, part of what maybe they're hoping for is that, you know, I'm sure when they planned this all out, they were like, yo, Marvel is a huge property. It's like the hottest thing right now. There was a lot of goodwill with, you know, this game coming out around Endgame, and it was like, man, they're just missing the mark. Like, if they could come out a little sooner, that would be, you know, killer. I think now that Marvel is going to be kind of picking it back up, this may be a good opportunity to try and recapture some of that goodwill, because Marvel's going to be back in full force and probably full force in a big way, because things that were already scheduled for this year are still intended to come out on top of all the content that was supposed to happen already is now going to happen. So I think people will be more energized about Marvel in general than they would have been, you know, throughout the pandemic with nothing happening.
So you think that part of their strategy right now is that they've just kind of raised up their arms in defense mode, and they are waiting for the time where they can make a big move, and Marvel has re-entered the spotlight through things like WandaVision?
Mm-hmm. I think reality is that the pandemic happened. Obviously, as you mentioned, you know, they're dealing with a lot of fires and a lot of just other issues that come with living in California, right? And just the general craziness of last year. I think the reality is they're dealing with all of that, and so there are genuine, not conniving, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. There are some genuine, we're not trying to pull your leg or trick you here issues. But I do think their strategy right now is like, and I think a lot of people are doing this of like, let's just wait this out. Let's see how far it's going to be to get to the end of this. And I think in some ways, I think the best move for them is to wait till they can have something really exciting to show. The problem is they just, as we're talking about, you know, how do you know when a game is dead? When they stop talking and when you're not expecting anything else to be coming. And so if they continue to stay silent and don't give us any kind of updates, that's all we're going to have to expect is that, nothing's happening because they're not talking about it. And
it's tricky because for any other game, Destiny, Division, whatever, my voice assistant keeps activating on my phone. I don't know why. I haven't said a similar thing throughout this whole thing. But for those games, like with Division 2, they released Warlords of New York. That injected new life and it injected new revenue.
Right.
But Crystal Dynamics Avengers has already made the promise of no paid DLC.
Right. So they don't have that extra income coming in.
They don't have the ability to say, here's a new expansion, and then not only get the new people that haven't bought the game yet, but get the people who did buy the game and then get the influx of them buying the expansion. They don't have that freedom yet. I honestly wouldn't put it past them to end up having to go there, because according to like the financial reports and everything that we've heard, Square lost money on Avengers.
Right.
So part of that question of like, what can Avengers do? What do you think the answer is to that? Like, what do they do about, like, is Square Enix going to lose faith? Or do you think they've been like, hey, a partnership with Marvel is more valuable than the money that we've lost, so we need to double down and make this work, so that this can be an ongoing partnership? Or do you think they're just gonna be like, nah, this isn't worth it, and just cut off the funding, put it into low development mode, pull their good people off the team and move them to other projects or something like that? Or do you think they're still putting their best foot forward?
So I want to answer your question, Steven, but I feel like it would be amiss to not mention what just happened on my game. I wandered into this like ocean fort with a bunch of monsters, and yeah, I'm playing on like super hard mode, right? So this is not easy going by any stretch of the imagination. These monsters can easily kill me, but I found a good strategy in just knocking them into the water, right? And so that was what I was pretty much doing, was just fighting on the edge and letting me knock them into the ocean. But there were a couple archers on platforms away from me, and so I was shooting them, trying to just get them to kind of go in the water too. Anyway, one I was shooting at, and I don't know if he ran out of arrows or what, but he made a lunge for me, right? And I'm not like lunge distance from him, so he literally just jumped into the ocean to his death in an attempt to hit me from afar, and that was really entertaining. So I just had to bring that up. But anyway, to answer your question. I don't know. It's one of those things. I feel like corporate is going to come in and say, all right, look, guys, we can't lose any more money on this. But
yeah,
to the same tune, I kind of feel like if you're in this situation, really, you've got to just. The thing is, okay, do you cut your losses or do you drive your heels in and try to make something work out of this? I would think that the better option in this situation, I mean, Marvel is a gold mine at this point.
Yep. I mean, EA didn't make it work, and they lost out on the biggest franchise in the world.
Right. And that's, I kind of wonder if, and that might even be a good thing they're looking at, like, oh, well, we don't want to turn out like EA did here. But I really do. I think if they can strike at the right time and then keep the momentum once they do strike again, I think they can recover from it. And I think they will, because I think they see and know and understand the power that Marvel Studios has.
Yeah.
And those Marvel properties have. And I think they'll come to say, hey, if we make this work, it will turn out in the end. But they have a lot of hard work ahead of them. And honestly, I do wonder if that's why they just aren't saying anything at this point and are being very minimal, because I'm sure like I said, whatever they do next, they need to keep the momentum. And so if they've got, say they know what they're doing after Hawkeye, it would probably be smart to wait until you have not all of that content, but like a fair amount of that content figured out. Just so that once you do launch Hawkeye and then say, okay, Black Panther's coming next, and right behind him is Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange, and they just keep that rolling, and it becomes consistent.
Right.
So it's understandable with all that's happened that it's not consistent, but if you're going to come back, you've got to be.
What month does Black Widow come out?
Oh, Steven, that's a whole nother topic. I don't know that movie is ever going to come out, because I think last I heard it got delayed again, potentially indefinitely. So I don't know. I want to say it was going to be November of this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was May.
Here, let me look it up, because go ahead. What were you going to say? Like, do you think that's a potential launch time?
My thinking is that we will get. I think the original plan was Kate was supposed to come out mid October. Hawkeye was supposed to come out early to mid November. Black Panther and the Wakanda raid were supposed to come out in February. And then I don't know from that point on. So I think what it has shifted to, what potentially it could have shifted to, this would make sense to me. Hawkeye is going to come out in February. And then when I was going to say May, alongside the release of Black Widow, they were going to do possibly Wakanda, Black Panther, and the next gen upgrade. Just a sizable content drop to where they can say, hey, people who own the game, next gen upgrades here. Here's a reason for you to try it. People who don't own the game, hey, Black Widow's out. Marvel's big again. Here's all this stuff.
This is coming
to come due.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
So Black Widow is right now scheduled for May 7th. However, I was the very first thing that I saw when I Googled that was it's expected to be delayed again and potentially come to Disney Plus, which I honestly don't know why it hasn't just done that already, personally. But I whatever Disney thought was the best idea. That's
to hold out so much for Black Widow of all things.
Well, it's one of those things that, like, yeah, I feel like that movie was already kind of, in a way, I don't want to say pandering, but like I feel like she should have had her movie a lot sooner than now.
Too little, too late for her.
Too little, too late, and now for all this to happen alongside it, it's just very unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the issue is with that movie and why.
Just release it on Disney Plus. Everyone's expectations are already super low.
Right.
If it ends up being good, wow, great. Hey guys, did you hear Black Widow was really good? Go get Disney Plus so you can watch it. You can also watch Mandalorian. Like,
you already want to see Mando, just watch that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. So I do think though, Square needs to say something. I mean, we need to know.
Yes.
Well, first off, when is Hawkeye coming? But beyond that, we need to know that this content is coming.
Right.
You know, if we are really just waiting for Black Widow or whatever, just say that. You know, just let us know. Communication is key there.
Right now, it's just the reset war table every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And the morale keeps dropping.
Right.
So even if they need to come out and be like, hey guys, Hawkeye's coming in March.
Right.
But we really appreciate you guys continuing to play. We're continuing to work really hard.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people out there that would see that and think that's a bummer, but I'm looking forward to March and I'm going to make sure I'm ready for March.
I look at it and say, cool, March. Now I know. Like, I know that's
exactly.
coming. And it's not a question anymore. So, yeah, I absolutely think even if it is a little later than any of us were expecting, at least we know when to expect it.
Right.
I don't know.
So I guess the last part now of that question, what could Avengers have done to not be in this mess?
I think this is a genuine time where they really just it's all unfortunate timing. And I don't know that there is anything they could have done to make this situation better other than delay the game entirely. In fact, that's probably what I would say they should have done is they should have delayed the game altogether because when they first announced this game in the very beginning, you and I were shocked to find that it was already being released. And if I remember correctly, that was like part of our whole thing. We were like, yeah, this game, like they're pushing this out. We're pushing this out way too early. I just threw a bomb into the wind. It blew right back in my face, and I blew it up, and it blew up right in my face. So that's what just happened. They should have delayed it. They should have delayed it until they had a lot more ready to go. But
they should have had at least like 2 post-launch things ready before they started this game, especially if they had as quick of a planned release schedule for post-launch as people have been assuming and expecting. Okay, I agree with that. Like that's the easiest solution. Like, if you wanted to not be in this mess, you come out at a time when Marvel is relevant again, and when you're actually ready to go.
Right.
But a trend that I've been seeing with Avengers. Oh, that guy's super cool. I just unlocked a cool knight-looking dude.
Nice.
But a trend that I've seen with Avengers is that obviously people are like, where's the content? There's not enough to do. But also just and this is a point that I've said with so many games, so many times, but I'm going to continue to say it again. People expected Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not trying to give you Destiny.
Right.
And I do not think that was effectively communicated.
Yeah.
And I point to a game like Outriders, which is not Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell they did that first broadcast and they noticed like, oh, people don't get it. And they spent a lot of time and effort getting people's questions and answering them and straight up saying, this is not a service title.
Right.
Clarifying what is Outriders. And I think like you and me, after I think the second War Table was the one where we saw Thor for the first time, where it was the Once an Avenger mission. We walked away from that. And we were like, I have so many questions.
Right.
And they tried to communicate this kind of stuff, but something that they didn't really seem to communicate well is this is not the game that you're going to play every week like Destiny.
Right.
This is a sometimes game. This is a game that will get regular content drops and you'll play it when that content comes, but it's okay if you don't do the weekly, if you don't do the daily, because it is a game that is not on a timetable. Destiny has seasons, battle passes. You have to complete them within a certain amount of time. Avengers has no timetable on any of its unlockables. They did not really effectively say any of that to where people understood that they weren't trying to go for the throat of the game that's killed all of these other games, because all of them have not seen the importance of saying, we're not Destiny.
We are not this thing.
And I just think that's done so much harm to so many games. And I think Avengers, the timing was awful, but I do think that's something that would have potentially helped them, is if they built that expectation moving forward, saying like, it's okay if you put down Avengers sometimes. We're not that game that's constantly trying to hold your attention, but we're going to commit to this much time at least of covering this game. So don't forget us.
Right. Oh, just like Johnny Silverhand. That's what he says to you in one of the endings. He says, don't forget me.
I don't know how you could forget him.
It's like, oh man, Johnny, I love you, brother. Yeah. Okay. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think Avengers will come back. I think they'll make a comeback, but I do think it is important to communicate, and that's what they got to do right now.
I can't emphasize enough how much I've been really enjoying the Kate Bishop update, because the character is so well designed. She feels very unique from the other characters. I really hope that Hawkeye
feels
I'm
unique
torn
from
because
her.
I'm torn because I love her moveset, but I'm going to want to play Clint because of the character. But I don't want if they release Clint and he is the exact same moveset as Kate, they are screwed. They are so boned.
Right.
I'll be like, cool, I get to do the cool things that Kate does, but as Clint.
Right.
But then I'll be like,
why
and this
Kate?
Is the last character.
Gosh, now that you want to talk about just like a really sad story, is if Hawkeye does come out and then it's like, hey guys, this is it. We're not launching anything else. This is all we're doing. Like that would just suck. Like at least if we had gotten Hawkeye and Doctor Strange, or Hawkeye and Spider-Man, which I keep forgetting has been officially announced, but isn't.
Spider-Man's coming. Like
we have no details about that, but it is like
they pretty much contractually have to. And honestly, I could totally see, like, if they are cooking up something big for months down the road, I could totally see Black Panther and Spider-Man being part of the same update. You want to do something big, release two heroes at once.
I mean,
that's what you need.
Yeah. I feel like they're going to have to do that period with Spider-Man because he's exclusive. So it's like,
that's true.
How can we release, okay, PlayStation folks, you guys have Spider-Man now, but everyone else is still waiting on Hawkeye. Like oh man, what a. Now that's the one they don't need to do it on. Like if you're going to release them both at the same time, don't do it with Hawkeye. We got Spider-Man. You guys got Hawkeye. And look, I like Hawkeye as much as the next guy, but that seems like insult to injury a little bit.
Right.
But
yeah.
Anyway,
but I hope that it's not dead, because I don't think that Hawkeye is going to have the same moveset. I think he's going to be unique, but that's a whole nother conversation to have another time. But they make quality content. Like the gameplay is great. They put a lot of effort and thought into these characters.
Right.
I want to see them succeed, not just because.
And free. It's free.
It's free. Yes.
And again, we're talking, is that going to stay the same with all this craziness that's happening? I assume yes, but the fact that they've done what they have done for free, or obviously in addition to buying the game, but still, that's really, really impressive. What they've been able to do with that. So
right, and what was it? I don't remember. I don't know what I was going to say, but
you've been enjoying her and enjoying the game. That's
I remember what I was going to say. I am a big proponent of don't hope something succeeds just because you want more of the thing that you like. Anna and I have actually we not butted heads, but like we disagree on this point. I think to where like the Justice League movie. She really wanted to like it. Like she enjoyed it. And I'm not saying it was a terrible movie, but I really just didn't like it. And her point is we need to support DC because Marvel is taking over everything. And my point was like, yeah, but not like this.
Right.
Like I'm
support
not
them
saying
if they do good things, don't support the trash they're throwing out to try and keep up.
Because we want to see more from DC, but we don't want to see that. And so in that vein, I am not like trying to defend Avengers to my grave just because it's Avengers and I have to see Avengers succeed. I want to see more of the content that Crystal Dynamics is giving us. I like the game that they've made. It's a fun game. There is a lot of thought, effort put into it. And I agree with their direction. And so I want to see Crystal Dynamics Avengers do well. Not just any Avengers game. Right.
No, I totally get that and agree with that in a lot of ways. So, well, hopefully they will. Well, that kind of smoothly transitioned us into our catch-up segment of the podcast where we talk about what we've been playing and what we've been doing. Steven, you've been playing a lot of Avengers, a lot of Division, which we've talked about it at a good bit here throughout this. But have you been playing anything else that has struck your fancy?
A few PC games like Ziggurat. I'm playing it now. I've been diving in to pretty much all the roguelites. I've been going on a bender a bit. But I actually picked up Swords of Ditto on the Switch because it was $7.
Oh wow.
And I beat it on my first try.
Steven.
I didn't die.
That is wild.
But the game is prepared for that to where like it's kind of like with Hades where you're supposed to beat it multiple times. But it was a lot of fun. Like if it's got online co-op and you've got it on the Switch, I would love to play it.
I know I own it. I think I own it on PlayStation though.
I think you do too.
If it's got online, let me know because I will definitely get it and we will definitely stream it because Brody and I were really interested in it, and so we were like, let's do a Let's Play with it. But then I think we did one, maybe two, and then it just kind of fell apart from there. So I would totally, but I think that game fits more for like a live stream or something where
it does.
You're doing something like that. So yeah, I'm in. Let me know if there's online, and I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I'll look into that, but I doubt that there is. It just doesn't seem like the kind of game to have it. But I'll check after this podcast.
Okay, good deal. Well, cool. Well, I have actually, and it's funny enough, we're showing our gameplay. I have been playing Breath of the Wild a lot recently. I have been playing Hades on the Switch, right? have been doing a lot of Hades lately. We've talked a ton about Hades over the last several.
I beat Hades finally.
You said that. I'm
Yep.
Have you gotten companions yet? Did you know there are companions in Hades?
Had no clue.
There are keepsakes that are like little creatures that follow you, and you get them. That's what you do with the ambrosia. Is that when you give ambrosia to certain characters?
But I've yet to be able to give ambrosia to anyone.
That is fascinating. See, that's what I kind of thought. I was like, maybe I'm not completing enough quests. That's why nothing is happening for me. So how many times did you have to, like, how many completed escapes did you?
It is 10 completions, but I had 13 because 3 of my completions were pre-launch.
Interesting.
So I had to start over.
I was going to say, I was like, I thought you had 15 or 20. So that would have been surprising, but...
Yeah, I didn't play it as much as everybody else post-launch because I had already played it a ton.
Right, you had played.
But I got back into it when you picked it up and when my brother picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just been kind of playing it at night, doing a run or two before bed to see if I can get out, and I finally did. And I like the ending a lot.
I'm so proud of you.
How many times have you gotten out?
Ooh, Steven. These are questions you shouldn't be asking me. Oh no. Oh God. Sorry. And again, the things I'm doing in Breath of the Wild right now. I'm about to drown is what's about to happen here. Oh God. I was fighting some people and they shot the platform I was on with a fire arrow and the platform exploded. I don't know if you ever got to the point in Breath of the Wild where there are people on floating balloons that come after you. That's what I'm dealing with right now. And I thought when he shot that arrow it was going to go through a balloon and screw him up, not me. But I am the one who has been screwed here. So just give me a second. All right, now I've recovered. Okay, I can breathe. What did you ask me? How many completions have I gotten?
How many completions in Hades?
I want to really. I think 2. The one you guided me through, and then I think I've maybe had one other one. Since not even since then. I had one other one before your guided completion. So not a lot. That game is. It's something that I guess I don't. It's not that I don't get it, but it's hard for me to get to a finished run, because I don't have the understanding of making a build quite like you do, and like it was really enlightening as you coached me through Hades to see like how you were building off of where I started. So, because you were like, all right, you got Ares. Okay, cool. You need to be gunning for Aphrodite. And it was like, okay. And then you were like, oh, if you see, Zeus, maybe grab this, or, just you kind of knew where we were going and what we should expect. And I don't have that.
Right.
I don't have that knowledge base from the game in the boons.
A lot of it just comes to like, you want to try to figure out where you're going with your build by the time you beat the Fury. Mm-hmm. And just also knowing what you can get from each god.
Right.
To where like with Zeus, I know that his dash is my favorite one.
Right.
So if I don't have a dash and I see a Zeus, I'm just like, okay, I need that.
Mm-hmm.
So it just comes down to like having an understanding of what you get from each god. And that's probably what you're struggling with, is just you go with what you know. But like to my knowledge, it seemed like you hadn't really used Aphrodite at all.
I go with
pretty much the best one.
I go with what I see, like what is presented to me.
Right.
Which, you know what? I think I just destroyed that chest. Nope. I think I destroyed a chest. Nope, it's there. I went with what was written to me in front of my face of like, hey, it'll do this. And I was like, well, that sounds cool. And just kind of went with it. I didn't really consider, if I get that from Aphrodite and then I get this from Ares, that'll make that all work. better, or and beyond all that, it's like what duos could potentially come up and do with that. So anyway, lots of good stuff there. I still enjoy Hades, but what I had been playing Hades a lot, and I just kind of had a night where I was just like, you know what, I need something else. I need to do something else. And so I was like, well, I haven't really done anything with Calamity, Age of Calamity, the Hyrule Warriors game. And so I was like, you know what, I need to get back into that. I need to finish that, because literally the only times I've played that, I've played on stream. And they've all been really fun experiences. But like, obviously I wasn't just committing entirely to that. I was focusing on streaming and lots of other things. But I did like 2 missions and was just like, you know what I really want to do? I want to play Breath of the Wild. And so I just jumped straight into my my master mode run that I started because, my Switch, way back when I had to initialize my Switch, right? And so I had started a master mode at some point when all that was happening. And so I was like, I'll just jump right into this. So I've been slowly making my way through. It's been difficult coming right back into something that like is the new game plus. But like, it's already hard enough when you come back to a game and it's like, now how does this work again? What do I do here?
I have yet to beat Jedi Fallen Order because of that very reason.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a really
you cannot just go back to that game.
No, you can't at all. It is it asks a lot of you, and you have to really kind of understand how things work. So it took me a little bit to get up and running, but I'm slowly figuring out. But I tell you what, man, Master Mode is no joke. Like, especially first starting out. Once you kind of start to get some abilities and can heal and stuff like that, it kind of starts to come together. But man, like, because there's white level people everywhere, which the white was like, I don't think, well, I think there's a golden enemy type that is higher than white, but like, I think white was the highest you would see in the main game, but they're like everywhere now. They're like reds or blues for you now. But on the upside, one of the best ways to make money is to sell gems, like gemstones that you find, and almost all the white enemies drop gemstones. So I have a ton of money, and so I feel like I'm definitely better sponsored, I guess, in this run through than any other run through. But I'm also running through weapons like you wouldn't believe it. Like it takes like a whole every weapon I have on my person to kill one of these white enemies. I'm fighting one right now, and weapons are just breaking left and right. So anyway, it's been really fun. What I basically want to say about Breath of the Wild is that it is just as good as it was in 2016, or I think it was 2016. Yeah, 2016 when it came out. They just about made a perfect game here. I don't know. There are lots of little things that like I wish they had done. And I'll tell you, we talk about like dream games. Oh my God, he didn't drop anything. I just fought that guy for literally nothing. He didn't drop a damn thing. We always talk about like what would be, our dream game, like what would be like the coolest thing ever. I think I've come to realize that for me, it would be if they took Breath of the Wild, but gave you still everything that is here in Breath of the Wild, but also Animal Crossing. Like,
what?
You have
how would that work?
So basically, I want to be Link or my character, or your own villager in Hyrule. So like, you're still the hero. You're still fighting monsters. You're helping people. You're going on a quest. Or going on quests and doing all that, collecting weapons, finding all that. But also, like,
Tom Nook has concerts.
Tom Nook doesn't have concerts, Steven. That's KK Slider. Get your Animal Crossing knowledge together.
I knew the difference. I just wanted to make you mad.
Well, you succeeded, all right. But no, so like I don't know, in Breath of the Wild, right? There's a house that it's understood that it was Link's house 100 years ago. And they're getting ready to tear it down, and you come along and are like, well, I'll buy it, and you can buy it back and you can furnish it. It's not like, you get to pick what furnishings are there. Like you pay to have it get filled up, basically. I wish that it was Breath of the Wild through and through, exactly how it is right now, but you had more of a role in the villages and like, and I mean like to the point of just like Animal Crossing, where you're building buildings and you're placing homes and there are Halloween events, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just wish, cause like I'm gonna play through Master Mode, and I'm hopefully gonna beat it. I want to do all the missions. I want to do all the DLC stuff. I want to get the motorcycle again, and then I'm gonna go fight Ganon, and I'm gonna beat it again. But I wish from that point there was something more to do. And I think Animal Crossing succeeds in there's, the basic game, that you do, which is get to a certain point in the story. I say story, you build out your town, right? You get it to the point where like, okay, you've got a functioning town now. And eventually Tom Nook, you go up to talk to him and you're like, Tom, what do I need to do next? And he's like, well, frankly, I've guided you as far as I know how to guide you. You go live your best life on this island. Like, but there's still stuff to do. There's holiday events happening, blah, 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 all that stuff. I just, that's the thing that's missing for me is I want to experience life in Hyrule post Ganon and just do fun things like decorate my house and decorate Zelda's house maybe, or I don't know, go on event dates with Zelda because, for Christmas or whatever. I don't know, something crazy, but just that would be an ultimate game for me, I think.
I feel like such a game exists out there, but I can't put my finger on it.
Well, there is a game called Moonlighter, I think is what it's called. And it's a roguelite. And
yeah, I've played Moonlighter.
Okay,
it's good, but it's not great.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's not great.
You get basically no choice on how you don't get to choose how your shop is designed. You literally just sell stuff in it that you found in the dungeons, and you pick the prices and all that stuff.
And that's the closest thing to what I want and am talking about here. So that's the only reason I really mention it.
Funny you say that. So just comparing the thought of Moonlighter to what you were suggesting, because I wasn't going to mention it before, but this game called Rogue Heroes that's coming out next month. We talked about it before the podcast. It's going to be 4-player co-op, and it looks like a roguelite, like top-down Legend of Zelda, where you go through these different dungeons, but also in that game you have town management. To where like, you get to pick where different buildings go, and you can bring the different people at the shops materials that you find to get upgrades or to unlock new classes, stuff like that. And so maybe that's something to look at, because the demo is out now. Rogue Heroes on Nintendo Switch and Steam. I definitely recommend it. We need to see if that thing is online, because if it's not online, that's going to crush me. Because it is such a me game that like I am so beyond excited.
Steven is already banking a whole lot on this game being online and being good.
Yes, I am. I haven't checked, but it needs to be. Look, it's on Steam, so surely it has online. Yeah. So look into that. I mean, we could even squeeze a stream out of that game if we wanted, like the demo, if we wanted to.
I think we absolutely could. Yeah.
Like even just the demo, we could probably stream this week if we really wanted to. Because it's a sizable demo.
I'm down for it.
I'm just saying.
The other thing I've been playing is Hitman 3, which came out this week. I've done 2 streams of it. No. Yes, 2 streams. I've done 3 levels while playing it. And it is really, really good. It's more Hitman. If you liked Hitman 1 and 2, you will like. There's a dragon. You'll like if you liked Hitman 1 and 2, you will like Hitman 3. If you didn't like how those games worked, it is essentially in many ways the same. So don't come out expecting something crazy. Sorry, a dragon just flew over here by me, and I'm trying to get a scale off of it because I need that. But gosh dang it, I don't know where that thing went. Oh no. Anyway, if you liked Hitman 1, you'll like Hitman 3. Some notable things though that they did differently that I really think is kind of interesting. There's been the overarching story happening in Hitman 3 that I just really haven't paid much attention to because I play Hitman for the gameplay, right? And
for the memes.
And for the memes, right? It's just a fun meme game to play. But the story seems to be a little bit more focused here, and I think that's because this is the completion of the trilogy that they've been making. So I feel like they can kind of bring all of that together a little bit more, like can kind of be a little bit more final, I guess, about it. So that's kind of nice. But also I've noticed several things, but I feel like the actual, because in Hitman there are ways to kill your enemies, right? That are usually like pretty scripted. Where like trying to think of a good example from like 1 and 2. So in 2, I believe there was a particular level where you were at like a racetrack and you could get a pitman, like a pit guy's gear.
A pitman for your hitman.
A pitman for your hitman. You could become one of the pit guys in the pit, and you could sabotage your target's car, and then they would wreck and die. And that was one of the things you could do. You still have those here, where it's like become this, do this, blah blah blah. But it's so much better here. Like, and my best example of it is there's one where I forget exactly the name of the place. It's like Bartmere Manor or something. But it's essentially a level that was seems very inspired by Knives Out, where you play. You can become a detective. You can get a disguise to be a detective who's here to solve a murder. And you can actually solve the murder. Like, that's like the person who you're trying to kill has hired this detective to come in to solve a murder. And you can basically, there's 3 options for like who could have done this. And option 1, they originally believed it was a suicide, right? You can find enough evidence to prove that was correct and move on. You can also find enough incriminating evidence to blame somebody who may or may not have done it. And so therefore, you're basically, condemning someone, which I guess, I don't know, you're going to kill the target anyway, but that just gets you there. But if you solve the full thing, like I did it on stream, I solved the whole thing. I only did 2 levels and I did like a 3-hour stream. And I really think 2 hours was committed to that level. And it was just so well done. Like, it was really interesting. Like, I remember there were a couple moments where I was like, this person did what? Like, I was shocked to find out some of the things that were happening. But anyway, it's very good. That's something I'd say has drastically improved since past games. Is I really think they committed to making that side of the content more exciting and more interesting.
Right.
And I personally appreciate that.
I've always thought it was so interesting how much you like Hitman, because it's just it's one of those games that's an anomaly for what you like. I've always just thought that was so interesting.
I really enjoy it. I think it's a perfect game for like Let's Plays and streams, and all that, because and right now, and what I've streamed so far with Hitman 3 has been my first blush with any particular level. And I don't think those are the best, because typically you're learning the map. And I guess in some ways when chaos ensues, it's pretty entertaining. But I almost think it's more entertaining when you can come in and do like an escalation protocol where like, I know this map. I at least have a working knowledge of how this should go and where some things are. But then, it's nothing scripted. So chaos truly can ensue, and I just have to deal with whatever is happening.
Escalation protocol is what Destiny has on Mars.
I think it is. I think it's an escalation here too, though.
It's probably just escalation, but you added protocol on.
Probably so. Yeah, it's an escalation. But anyway, Hitman 3 is really good. I like it. I definitely will be streaming more of it. I feel like there was one other point, but I guess it really just ties into. Oh, I know what it was. In the vein of like the quote unquote story missions in each level are really exciting and seem to be really well done this go round. I've also noticed that NPCs talk a lot more than I feel like they ever have. The detective character that you can become when you knock him out to become him. I don't know what they wanted you to do to get that costume, but I basically threw coins till I had him in a bush, and then I just put him to sleep. But we got a good laugh on the on the stream, because as he picked up coins, he had lots of really interesting things to say. Like he was just like, "I'm the man," because he found a freaking coin or whatever. It was really entertaining all the way around. So I had a lot of fun with that one. And then also there was some guy we found in that level, and he saw me strangling someone, and he was like, "Hey, that doesn't look like a hug. What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Are you serious? Is this what this guy really just said?" So it was really funny. But anyway, good game. Highly recommend. If you're a Hitman fan, definitely go check it out. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com. You can like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, what makes you consider a game dead. Links emotes are just great. You can also follow us on Facebook. That's at Chortle Games on Facebook. That's another place that the podcast airs live. And then, of course, if you are an audio listener, you're listening through Apple Podcasts, and you can, of course, listen to us there. We're also on Twitter, at Chortle Games on Twitter. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/Chortle_games. We live stream throughout the week. Normally, we live stream on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And that should be the schedule we'll keep this week. Maybe we'll play some, what was that co-op game we were just talking about? Well, there were actually several that we talked about.
Rogue Heroes.
The Rogue Heroes, and then Ditto, Swords of Ditto.
Yeah.
If we that might be a good one to do if we have that option. So be sure to tune in for that. That'll probably be Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. We'll probably do some solo games. I don't know. I'm going to be torn between, do I want to play more Hitman or do I want to play some more Cyberpunk? So we'll see if my desire for a platinum in Cyberpunk or a platinum in Hitman wins over this weekend, but we'll see. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.